How do you plan for a death in the future or the near future? If you are aware a loved one is going to pass, there are practical steps you can take if they're wanting to plan for their passing before they die, whatever their age. The full list of tasks will be shown during this video and at the end, so you can screenshot them or pause to make notes. This video is in 2 parts depending on the time your loved one has left on earth. The first part covers if the person has a short time to live, for example, a few days or even just hours. The second half is if you are aware they have a few more weeks or months to live and can make more in-depth preparations. A list of these questions you'll want to ask your loved one will be on the screen at the end of this video and during, so you can screenshot them. Do make sure you watch it and use both lists, even if your loved ones have longer to live than the first list. When your loved one passes, there are many things to sort out. There are 4 main areas to cover: informing the relatives and friends of their death, dealing with officials like doctor, solicitor, handling documents like death certificate, informing banks and utility companies. If you have time, make a chart of the people and utilities to inform. Tick the columns when you have done them. Clearing the property where the person lived, deciding what to do with their belongings. There is another video on sorting a loved one's possessions in the practical section. Organising a funeral and the wake afterwards. A wake is where the relatives gather afterwards and have refreshments. See the funeral section of these videos to help with that. Each of these cannot be done one at once or in order, and you may have to perform most of these tasks together. Therefore, the more information you can be given from your loved one before they pass will help you do all the 4 areas in that list. These questions you are to ask may seem very insensitive, but it will really assist you to carry out their wishes when they have died. When they have a short time, these are the essential questions to ask. There's a screenshot now with this list on. The question you may not want to ask is, do they want a note on their medical records? Do not resuscitate. For instance, if they die during an operation or have a seizure. I was told because my relative was frail and 102 years old, if they did attempt to resuscitate her, it would do more damage than help her. Where are all the important documents, such as bank account details, house deeds, rent information, mortgage details, investments, solicitor's details if they have one, or simple everyday things like bills for their home? This is so you can inform all the utility companies if you are closing down their home. If they own property and do not have a will, ask them what they want to do with the house. If there's time and they are able, make a will with a solicitor. Or I suggest making a video about their wishes. The video may not be legal, but it will have them on speaking and explaining what wishes they wanted to happen. They may also have a plan for their funeral in a prepaid package, and you need to know the details of that and who to contact to organise this plan and arrange for this plan to pay for the funeral. This is very important, or you may have to pay for the funeral yourself. All the pre-mentioned questions are urgent, as on list 1. The following section of this video is other questions to ask if there is more time. List 2 will be at the end. If the person wants to prepare for their passing and they are still well, this gives you more time to organise almost everything you will need to know. Ask the questions on list 1 first, as they are essential. Then you can think about list 2 at the end of this video. I was fortunate when my grandma died. She had an old-fashioned address book listing all the relatives and her friends. But now everything is on a mobile phone. You may not have any access to these to retrieve this information. If you have time, the quickest way to copy mobile phone contacts is to transfer them all to your phone, or a phone that you do not use anymore, or you could screenshot all their contacts on a mobile phone and email these to yourself. Always ask for the passcode if their phone is locked. Then you can get into their phone and look at the contacts. If you are not sure how long a person may live, I would advise you to organise a power of attorney. I didn't do that for my grandma, and she was 101 at the time, and I honestly thought she wouldn't be here in 3 months' time, because that was how long it was taking to organise the power of attorney. There's 2 types of power of attorney. One is for medical and one is for the finances. A year later, when my grandma had medical problems and the family was arguing over her money, I wish I had organised these documents. You do have to pay for them, but you can organise them yourself up to a certain limit and you can register them yourself. We had no authority to make health decisions when she was taken ill and went in hospital. Also, by then my grandma was unable to sign any documents as her hands were bent with arthritis. So the bank would not accept any documents asking for money to be given out to family members before she died. And another thing, when I was clearing her house, and she lived a year after I cleared her house, she had no passport, she had no driving licence. And I found a bus pass with a photograph on. I threw it away because I didn't think she'd be going on buses again. Any documents you find like this with ID purposes, do not throw them away, because you need them for ID for things like banks, etc. My grandma had some specific things she wanted to do with her money, so because of family disputes, I made videos of her saying, I want the name of the person to have money from this bank account. And then you can actually prove that is her wish. I've been told by a solicitor it wouldn't actually be legal unless you registered it with a solicitor. But I used a lot of videos to prevent fallouts in the family. For example, my grandma made a video giving me permission to clear all her possessions from the house and permission to keep certain items that were sentimental. This may not be possible until you have waited for probate, etc., if the person owns their house. Ask about their life so you can include this in the eulogy. This is a speech at the funeral. Ask about things. If I was a granddaughter, obviously, to my grandma, I didn't know about the first 50 years of her life, obviously. So I had to ask my mum and I had to ask other people, but I did ask my grandma some questions before she died about where she used to live and the adventures she had with the husband, etc., who had already passed. And then you can include these sort of stories, etc., in the eulogy, the speech at the funeral. You do not have to read the eulogy out yourself. A celebrant will need to know something about their life so they can speak about the life of the person. Here is the second list of things you need to know. It'll be at the end of this video. The list 1 is in the middle, the list 2 is here. I hope they all help.